Yes, we are the 260. And a couple of my favorite things tonight, Dave, bodybuilding, pumping the iron, and then we got into the youth football with Brian Nix. So what a great way to roll through the podcast tonight, Dave. And now something else I love, play-by-play with Summit City Sports, and what Matt Brumbaugh loves, Clubhouse Manager of the Year with my guy Hunter Sosenhiemer, baby.
In his first year.
In his first year, yeah. That's 260, Hunter. Yeah, such a talented guy to have on. And Hunter, thanks for joining us. And start a little bit with the baseball, man. I know that with your background, you were a vital part as far as a manager with the Snyder High School football. But let's start a little bit with the baseball and how you got affiliated with the Tin Caps.
So actually, I played baseball when I was a kid a little bit, and then my buddy who I went to high school with at Snyder, he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, we're looking for a clubhouse manager." And me, I'm a big hockey fan. Like, hockey is my number one sport. Like,
hockey's your number one sport? I didn't know that about you.
Hockey is my number one sport.
I saw that your room could rivel.
Oh, yeah.
Comet Hall of Fame.
Right, yeah. My room was insane when I was growing up as a kid. A bunch of Comet stuff. So,
sure.
Hockey was my big sport. But my buddy Sam reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, do you want to get, like, involved in the baseball world?" And equipment managing is, like, something I did when I was a kid in middle school and then in high school as well. So I was just like, that's something I could see it going down. So I took the offer, and then last year got awarded that award, and I was blown off by it. It was insane.
We were all so proud of you. Now,
right here's some
Matt,
hardware.
Yeah, look at that hardware. I'm gonna pick that up with you, Dave. Look at that, man. Isn't that beautiful sonar? That's a little bit of pride right there in the 260 for Hunter. Now, we'll hold it up a little higher. Look at that. Woo! And Matt, what Matt you say? That's
a great piece of wood, right there.
That's a great piece of wood, as Matt says.
Solid.
Now, Dave knows and Matt knows Hunter, but help me out, man. Take me through the role on how important that is, being the clubhouse manager and all the duties that you have to do.
Oh, yeah. People don't see, like, what we do behind the scenes. Like, I kid you not, we have game weeks, so we have games from Tuesdays to Sunday, and we are there at the stadium probably 40 to 80 hours a week. Like,
40 to 80 hours a week?
Yeah,
might as well sleep there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We used to have a bed in there actually, like in our office, because our office is so big. But yeah, we used to stay there. So we usually are the first ones to arrive to the stadium. We get there, we set up the food, so that way the players, when they arrive, they can eat and stuff like that. And then we go out, set up the waters, like get everything set on the field and stuff like that.
All the balls.
And then, all the balls, batting stuff, anything anybody needs, they come to us and we help them out. And then games go, like once the games are going, that's kind of our like chill time because
the game is, that's kind of when you relax a little bit because you have everything set up.
Right, yeah. So we're usually like in the dugout just vibing with the players, or we're upstairs like talking with our families and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then after the game is our hardest pace of work. Like we're there, we're doing laundry, like we're getting things set up for the next day. It's a big thing.
How many sets of uniforms do they have?
So we currently have 4 sets of uniforms. So we have our green ones, our red ones, our gray and red ones, and then we have our brown ones as well. So
they got a little bit of leeway, Joe, but they got to keep that cycle going.
Yeah. So we actually have like certain days we're supposed to wear certain jerseys.
Right.
Now the players are on the road right now. They're in South Bend, and I was actually just there last night. And they only want to rock the brown unis because that's their winning uni. So they want to keep it.
So that's a little change from the players.
The brown unis are the San Diego Padres.
Yep, the Padres colors. Yep.
What and Matt, you can pick up on this too. What's it like, the interaction with the players? Because Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, baseball players are some of the most superstitious guys, aren't they, Matt?
Yeah, they got a lot of quirks.
That's a better word.
Quirky and pitchers I didn't like very much because they're even crazier than the quirky players. But I'm sure Hunter could. The involvement that you have with the players, it's probably about the same as being a player.
Oh
right?
yeah. We're around the players all the time. Like they're really cool. A lot of the guys that we have this year, we can go ahead and use one of your terms. We got some sheepdogs in the locker.
Sheepdogs, I love it. You hear that, Sonar? Sheepdog.
Yeah, so we got a lot of good guys. It's a fun locker room, a bunch of fun players to be around. So I'm actually the visiting clubhouse manager. So I work with the visiting teams when they come in.
Oh, so what's that like? Do you now? do you open up like your relationships when you meet those guys, or are you a little more guarded since they're visiting, or how does that work?
So I actually like open up my relationships. We actually had a kid here from Carroll that was catching last week, Hayden Jones. He plays for the Dayton Dragons in high A now. And so we were in a rain delay last week on a Tuesday. It was the first day they had gotten there. And me and him just sat down. We had a conversation. We were probably conversating for like 45 minutes to an hour.
Man.
We were just talking away. So we've actually had some MLB players come through on like rehabs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's
Who was
fun
that?
to interact with. We had Blake Snell last year.
Yeah, Snell,
he pitched for the Tin Caps, and then I got to personally work for Jonathan Scope. He plays second base for the Detroit Tigers right now. And
what's that like, Hunter? I mean, here you have a relationship with Jonathan. You worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what's it like to turn on baseball tonight and see a guy like that play in the big leagues?
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
I know
it's
him.
crazy.
I know him.
Yeah, you're like, man, I know that guy.
Right. I was like, I just worked for this guy last year. It's awesome to just
fun,
see
man.
to see these guys
See guys make it.
And he's
yeah.
only done it 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already got the hardware, and he's already got long memories coming for himself.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
Oh,
only. And he, by the way,
Hunters.
this is a year-round job.
I know it is. But
He
you know
goes
what?
out to Arizona.
You go out to Arizona?
Yep. Spring training sometimes.
Wow,
Yep.
tell us about that.
That's a fun experience because then we get to interact with a lot more people. So it's
he's
not
into
just
big boys.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not just the Tin Cap players. You're interacting with the low A, high A, double A, triple A, and even the pros sometimes too. So it's fun stuff.
Now, help me out with this. You've already been the clubhouse manager of the year. Is that something you might take? I mean, is that something you may go to a double A or a triple A at some point? Or how does that work with you? Obviously, you're from the 260. I don't want to see you leave because you do tremendous work on Summit City Sports. But is that something that where you're developing these relationships and
Yeah.
your name's kind of getting around? Do you advance?
It'd have to.
Yeah. So
You would
it's-
think, wouldn't you,
Yeah,
Dave?
it'd have to.
So it's kind of like the way the player system works. You're pretty much just waiting for the next guy to take the next step. So
I see.
you're
I see.
What you're waiting
waiting
for is the next guy to retire.
right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Clubhouse managing. There's a lot of older
These
guys.
guys
but-
ain't leaving that job.
Yeah. So you're just waiting for guys to either get moved up or they go to different organizations too. Like
Sure.
some guys just move around and want to try out different organizations too. So
Are you paid by the Tin Caps or by the Padres?
so I'm paid by the Tin Caps right now. So
Okay.
But there's we don't want to get into that, but there could be some changes. So
Okay.
Because I
Move on.
was trying to figure out, with you going out to Arizona, I would think Padres would be flipping
right.
that bill.
Yeah. So it's part Padres and then part Tin Caps. Wherever we are, that's the way it works. So
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. Favorite moment with the guy or favorite moment that you were involved with? And then, of course, we got to have the yin and the yang. And then a moment that you just really disliked, that you were just like, man, I hate this.
are you talking about just the baseball world?
Just
Or-
the baseball
Okay,
world right now.
baseball
We're going to
world.
get to. I'm going to get into a little bit of your Summit City Sports, but
Okay.
talk about the baseball world because obviously, with what you do, man, I mean, you really have an intimate relationship with some of these guys and some of the stuff.
Yeah, so when I'm gonna be honest with you, like you only see these guys, you're only seeing these guys from February till September, but there are some that get traded at the trade deadline and stuff like that. So we actually had 2 guys last year that I had gotten like really, really close with from the start of the season, and then they got traded at the trade deadline. But I still like talk to them every other week. Like I just always chime in, check in on them, and stuff like that.
So that had to be hard to see them go, huh?
Yeah. It was a bummer to see him go, but then like they're gonna go off and do bigger things.
Was that
soon.
part of that big trade with the player for
Juan
the Padres?
Soto. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Because there was a bunch of guys I saw at Fort Wayne. There was a lot of guys that kind of got moved in, and there was a couple of our guys were kind of like last-minute additions to make it happen, weren't
Yeah,
they?
it was
Fill in the deal.
It was crazy. We actually on the trade deadline day we lost 5 guys, so we actually had one of our catchers actually playing second base
Oh my
because
gosh!
of how short we were on guys. So
Those deadlines, bro.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the tough one.
yeah.
What's one of the dearest memories so far that you've had with the Tin Caps?
Man, just winning this award, I got it presented to a few weeks or a month ago, I think it was, or something like that.
So you just got it this
Yeah,
year.
he just
Yeah,
got
I
it,
just-
man. That
so-
just came, yeah.
Yeah, so it was from this past year, but they ended up
Presenting it.
Yeah, because all the minor league clubhouse managers that got that award got them presented to him this year. So, and that was just a fun moment seeing like my name like on the video board. You have all these fans just like looking at you. They're like, man, this guy just won an award, and I was one of 16 clubhouse managers to win it. So it was a surreal moment.
And
It's awesome.
Joe, Well, I want to say something. You know, talk about your illness and how you didn't get to play sports.
Yep.
And if you look at the guy's attitude,
That's what I was going to bring up.
I want to know how not being able to play sports, being a hockey #1 fan, doing this, you're still a fan.
Right.
So talk about your journey to get.
Yeah, so when I was younger, I actually had surgery on my neck and was told that I wasn't going to be able to play sports again. So then you're a big sports fan. Like I'm a huge sports fan at this time. So I'm just looking for like different routes to go out. So whether it's broadcasting, whether it's equipment managing.
Yeah.
So I started equipment managing for Blackhawk Middle School, the basketball team there, and that was a fun time there. And then I got introduced to Coach Kurt Tittman at Snyder High School, and that was right my first year I got there. They won that state championship 2015. I was on the sidelines with them.
That was an amazing state champion.
Oh,
that may have been the most exciting. If you liked offense, that was your state championship game.
that was a very, very
against
fun
New
game
Pile.
to be a part
Yeah.
of. Yep.
Yeah.
You had the Isaac Stiebling, Matt Kippenhammer,
Oh,
all
those guys were great, man.
Those guys were insane. So that started out, and then I kind of got introduced after I graduated. I got introduced to the broadcasting world, and then Jeff Mahoney reached out to me, and I've been at Summit City Sports since, and that's kind of like what I do in my off-season type of work. You know, I go out on Friday nights and give back to these high schoolers that actually get to do do this stuff that I didn't get to do. So.
Well, like I was saying, you have a great attitude going forward, and not being able to play. Mm-hmm. You still get to make your mark.
Right. Yep.
He did, and that's why this beautiful bat, when he got this, I was so fired up.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know what Hunter lost with that neck injury.
Yep.
And we all knew it. And Hunter always goes out to Summit City and lays down a great broadcast with so much passion. And to win this award, it just felt so appropriate, because that's why I wanted to have you on with your journey.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have lost sports at 11 years old, I may end up in the penitentiary, Sonar. You know what I mean? I mean, it may have been 50-50. I admire your journey, man, because one door closed for Hunter Sosenhiemer, and you kicked open another door, man.
Three doors.
And that's why I was so fired up when you won that award. And whenever I listened to you on Summit City Sports, I knew your background, knew your story, man. And I just think it's very inspirational.
Yeah, I really, really enjoy doing it. It's something, like I said, once I was not able to play sports again, I wanted to stay involved in sports, so I had to find something to do, and I'm glad I'm still doing it to this day. It's fun stuff.
Passion. You know, we keep talking about passion.
Yeah, Dave nailed the last segment with pride, and you just nailed that one with passion, man.
Passion.
So
and that's it's beautiful.
I've told Joe this, and we get the season. What is this? Our 16th show now.
16th show, Dave.
So I wanted to have Fitzy and Skylar on from the Comets, which you're friends with.
Oh, yeah, good guys.
And time just got away from us. And I know what those guys go through. And your job is not easy.
Yeah.
No.
Because you're at their call all the time.
Right, yeah, we're there. Like I said, it feels like we're there 24/7 on game weeks. We're always moving, so.
Probably
always
pulling tarps too every once in a while, aren't you?
No, I
you don't have to do that.
I stay away from that.
Yeah,
stuff.
you got to stay away. Hey, you got to stay away from Keith Winter,
Yeah,
man. That guy.
Keith will mess you up real quick.
He'll find you and he'll get after you.
He already gets mad at us for throwing seeds on. We're putting those seeds on the field.
Oh yeah. He's not
he
a
gets
happy
mad
guy.
at you guys even.
You said what?
He gets mad at you guys.
Yeah, because we're the ones that put him out there. But hey, it's a part of the game.
It's part of the game.
It's part of the game. Yep.
Man,
Yeah, what about what guys are into what the seeds and all that?
like
They're
it.
spitting them. He didn't like them on his grass.
He doesn't like that seed on his dirt, grass, dugout, nothing.
He wants to cancel. You know how the high schools play at the stadium?
Yes.
And I know Keith. I've done some things for him. He's a great guy.
Great guy.
He is.
But that field is his baby.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
his
Yeah.
pride.
He wants those. He don't want those kids playing on that field.
No.
It's like we had an old man we lived next to when I grew up, man. And the first day we moved in, man, the old man, my mother sent some cookies over, and he kind of looked at me and took the cookies. And I thought, well, that's a strange old man. After that, if a ball went in his yard, or if you walked across his yard, or he made a tackle in his yard, he came out and stood and looked at you.
That's Keith.
I mean,
That's Keith.
You stay off that grass, man. And that old man had a little bit of a presence about him. He's probably about 85 years old.
He was he was happy.
Is that how Keith is?
The only time he was happy is if you were playing a game as a high school coach and you brought a bat boy, so you didn't have that bat being tossed around that grass. He was like, he was your buddy then, man. He'll sit in that dugout and talk to you all day long. But if you did,
Shouts out to Keith.
And Keith played ball.
I know he did. Keith was a
good
heck of
guy.
a-
Hey, he's a great guy. And that, hey, that facility,
Oh, it's
the
amazing.
playing surface, top
But like
notch.
Hunter said, seeds and baseball go together.
Yeah.
They do, man. You got to have guys always had something they were chewing on, right? Okay,
They
now
can't chew tobacco anymore.
I said, well, my guys, some of my assistant coaches might be laying down a little bit of tobacco.
a little bit
every
of tobacco
once in a while.
juice, yeah, a little bit of
Yeah.
a little bit of dip, right? Boys were boys, but let's pivot now. Talk to me about Summit City Sports, man. You've really done a nice job over there calling games. Talk to me about the first game and how you got going on it. And Jeff Mahoney's given so many guys opportunities. I love Jeff. Talk about just kind of that connection with Jeff and Summit City. And Dave had a great idea, and I'm going to reach out to Jeff. We would like to do a show, a 260 podcast on
that.
Summit City because
I think that'd be a great show.
it'd be a great show. The great Jeff Mahoney and
it's
Tim
a 260
Atkinson.
story.
Yeah.
That's a story because Jeff and Tim took out a camera and started getting the highlights. And there's some guys that, Pat Reith, who always ran the camera. Pat's fantastic. There's so many great guys behind that. But talk to us a little bit about how that journey began and the courage. It's not easy, man, to put that headset on and to start that and do those broadcasts.
Oh yeah, big time. So when I actually got told I couldn't play sports again, Bob Chase, he used to broadcast for the Comets. He's
Yes.
a big name in Fort Wayne. He's actually like one person I idled and stuff like that. So before Comet games, like I would actually go upstairs. We knew a few Comet people, so we got like the exclusive access. So I'd go upstairs. I'd like talk to him before games and stuff like that, and kind of get my ball rolling. And then once I graduated high school, reached out to Jeff Mahoney, and he was like, "Hey, go shadow Tim Atkinson at this St. Francis soccer game." And
SummitCitySports.com.
let me know."
I smoke for a living, but I think he does it more.
Oh, man. I feel like every time he goes SummitCitySports.com, there should be like a pack of Marlboro that just like rises up on the TV, man.
Smoke's coming out.
Yeah. So you're gonna shadow the great Tim Atkinson.
Yep, you're sitting in the press box with Tim Atkinson, and you're just like, man, is this something like I really want to do? And then as it goes on, you get used to it, and then Jeff Mahoney's like, here, we're going to put you on this football game. I ran camera for my first year. So running camera, you had to get the head start.
Get the feel for it.
And you're listening to these guys broadcast. So I'm working with Tim Atkinson. I'm listening to him broadcast and stuff like that. And then you finally get the call at the fall game. I think Woodland.
What was your first game? I was going to ask you.
It was Woodland. I can't remember who they were playing off the top of my head, but it was a Woodland game. It was out in the country, so
Yeah,
and
baby.
it was a very, very, very fun time. And I was just like, man,
What'd that feel like, man? When
it's awesome.
when that mic fired up, man.
Yeah,
and
it
they
was-
say, man, here you go, man. We're gonna give you a 5-second countdown. They fired it up. What was that moment like?
It was awesome. I had all my papers in front of me. It
Yes.
was ready, all my prep work, and I was ready to go. And man, it's been a fun journey ever since, and I really, really love doing it. So
That's gotta be tell me if I'm wrong. Doing those games has to be the fastest 2.5 hours or 3 hours of your life, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and that's one thing I like strive for when I'm doing the broadcast is like giving back to these players. These players are out here like working their tails off,
Yes.
working for scholarships and stuff
Yes.
like that. And you're just here, you want to give them the spotlight and
That's
let
right.
them show. So that's one thing I strive. That's one thing that goes through my head. Like there'll be some days where I'll show up and I'll just be like, man, I don't even want to do this game. Like we had one game. It was a girls' basketball game. I can't remember off the top of my head who was playing, but there was 10 people in the gym, and you're like, everybody can hear you talking.
Yes,
like, everybody
yes.
can hear
Those
you
are the
broadcast.
people don't realize the hardest games are the ones where nobody's
Less
in the
crowd,
stands
nobody's
because all of a sudden people are like sitting there like looking at you and listening to you. I don't know if you feel like this, Hunter, but I always felt like when we did games, I feel like they say, Joe, we're going to plug your mic, and I feel like it's Brumby and I sitting there having a beer or something watching the game. That's kind of how I guess Jeff and I would be sitting there. It's like I'm having a beer with Jeff, and we'll watch him ball, So I didn't think a whole lot of it. But when there's not a lot of people there and they can hear you and people are, like, looking at you while you're doing it, I don't know, man. That always was a little bit more difficult for
Yeah,
me.
it's-
But
Hunter, you said your first game was at the Woodland game. How do you rate your performance?
Oh,
Scale of 1 to 10.
to start off, like I would give it a solid like 4. Like I wasn't prepared for it, but then as you get going and as you get doing it and stuff like that, you start to grow.
I had asked Joe
you're good.
about his first game, and he was forced into doing it by his dad.
Yeah, my stepdad owned WGL. This is about 1997. I just got done playing college ball. My hands
He had
were
no
all
interest
beat
in
up.
doing this.
I was kind of a little bit tired of football because it took about 6 months for my hands, the swelling of my hands to get better, and I was trying to focus and work towards my CPA license. And it was the first game of the year. It was the kickoff, 1997.
Man, that was before I was born.
I know. That's how deep I go. I did Rex Grossman State Championship. I mean, I've been doing games for I tell people, man, I've done games where I'm like, I either played with his daddy or did the game. But once I've done the games with Grandpa, that's when I got to quit. But the color guy called in sick like 2
Joe's
hours for
by
the game,
himself.
and I'm like, I'm in the conference room with my mother and my stepfather, and I'm like, man, that sucks, man, because who calls in 2 hours for a broadcast? That's a shame. And my stepdad was, barking profanities. We got $60,000-$70,000 in this, and my stepdad didn't really like ball. He called it ball. He thought we got all this money on this ball. Now we don't have a color, man. What are we gonna do? And I said, man, that's really tough, man. I said, I guess maybe the play-by-play guy will have to go solo. And I remember he kicked a chair and he was barking, and I saw him turn real quick and look at me. He says, well, you played, ball. I said, yeah.
I don't know
communicating. You're going to do it. I said, I'm not going to do it. I've never done a broadcast in my life. I just got over stuttering about 3 or 4 years ago. I had a tremendous stuttering problem. He's like, you're going to do the game. I said, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Well, if you knew the great Frank Covis, when he gave an order, you obeyed. So there I went out.
Especially a family order.
So there I went out to do the game. That's right. And I had no notes. I was unprepared. And I'll be honest, I feel like I really made an ass of myself. And you know what, though, Hunter? I don't know if you felt like this. I think yours went much better. That was the best thing, Sonar, that ever happened to me, because after that I swore to myself, man, I will never, ever be embarrassed like that again. And after that, I prepared 3-4 hours for every single broadcast, and I would break down the schemes of the team, mock the game up, and then after that it was just like,
but
that's
Joe,
how it started, man.
But you also thought you was one and done, and Daddy said no.
That was it.
You're going
right back out there, and that's how I
was like, no.
Believe it or not, man, it's like we all have a start, don't we, Brummy? Yeah. I mean, sometimes you're just thrown in the fire, man.
Yeah. So he got a 4 out of 10. What'd you get?
A 1. I mean, if it was me, I would have been like
the great Joe Walbert.
I mean, if it was me, I went up at a halftime and been like, "Look, man, get lost." You know what I mean? I mean, you were actually. I remember that night. Halftime came, Sonar. I was so bad. I went down. I ate a hot dog, and I was trying to convince myself it's not that bad. And I came back up, and I remember there was a guy sitting next to me in the box, and he kind of got up and moved. And I'm like, man, he doesn't even want to hear me. You know what I mean? But isn't it amazing, though, Hunter, the journey? I mean, think about your journey, man. I mean, okay, you can't do the sports. Just moved on, man, and got busy with everything else, and clubhouse manager, and giving back to the high school with the play-by-play. What's the game that stuck out to you the most that you called in high school? What's that one game, man, that was just unbelievable, man?
Ooh. That's a very tough one. I've got some tops. Last year, I was at Huntington North for the girls basketball sectional championship.
Yeah.
And there was Homestead. It was Homestead versus Columbia City.
Oh, okay,
and, They had the freshman Maya Epps at the free throw line. She had to hit 3 free throws to win the game. Otherwise, it was going into OT. And just sitting there calling it, you got all these fans on their feet and stuff like that, and you just got to make it. You got to make it exciting. So. That was a really, really good moment. And then I had one in basketball, Woodland versus Leo. It was the buzzer beater by Braden Smith. I think it was about 2 years ago or something like that. I can't even remember, but that was a surreal moment. It was a buzzer beater from 15 feet beyond the three-point line. It was half court,
wow.
And it was awesome. And then I found out that I made the news on that call. They put it on the news and stuff like that.
That's
and
awesome,
I was just man, that's crazy.
Woo, that's
crazy.
Great. What's next for Hunter Sosenheimer? Where are you going, man?
So I'm going to continue working for the Tin Caps. Actually, I want to bring up this story that ties in with the Tin Caps and broadcasting if I have time.
Sure, go ahead.
So they do the winter meetings is when they decide that awards and stuff like that. So I was in Concordia's basketball gym. It's the Cage. It's the hottest gym in the world, but it's a very, very unique gym.
Love
so
it.
I was actually sitting there getting ready to broadcast the game. 2 minutes before I go on the broadcast, I flip up my phone and I get a text from our team president, Mike Nutter, that I had won this award, and it was just
Wow.
It was bizarre, it
Wow.
was insane.
And you totally didn't expect it?
Yeah, I didn't expect
Wow.
it either. It came out of the blue, and then I went on to I was 2 minutes from broadcasting, so I had to sit there and I had to just
So you couldn't even call your mom and dad?
Yeah,
You had to
no.
calm
It
down,
was
get ready
like-
for a broadcast.
It was like I had to calm down and lock in for this broadcast and stuff like that. And then halftime came around, and I flipped up my phone, and it was just 30 messages blowing up my phone, and I was just like, yeah, I got to shut my phone off so I can do this broadcast. So that was a very, very, very fun moment.
What's it like to work for Mr. Nutter?
Oh, it's awesome. He is probably one of the most incredible people I've ever
seems like
worked
a
for.
genuine man.
Yeah, he is awesome. He actually just won, on top of that award, he actually won President of the Year, Team President of the Year last year. So he's an awesome person to work for. He's probably the best person I've worked for. But
We'd love to get him on the show because
he'd be a great one.
He's great for the 260 itself.
Yeah, so the Clubhouse managing I'm still continuing to do and stuff like that. And then I think I'm going to go back to broadcasting this fall as well. Try to get back on the mic, and we'll continue to see. I'm just kind of opening doors right now to see which path I want to go down because I have so many options to go down. So I'm just trying to see where exactly I want to go.
Do you think, though, on your journey, you've kind of found a lot of the stuff that you're passionate about? I mean, do you think you're on the right? You talk about your path.
Mm-hmm.
This journey that really started when you were 11. Do you think you're heading down that right path of what you want?
Yeah. So getting this job last year with the Tin Caps, it exposed me a lot and stuff like that. And then obviously, like I said, on the broadcasting scene, I've been doing that for quite a while. And the amount of people that tune into those games, it's bizarre. So
yeah, it's amazing. I think last year we did the Snyder Northside game in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter,
you two worked together?
No, I didn't do it with Hunter. I did that one with Jeff. But Hunter's did big games too. But they'll have 20,000 people that will watch a game. I mean, you'll have big games. And Hunter's right. When you put all the games together, there's probably about 3 or 4 crews we'd all work on, man. You put them all together, we'd probably have an audience of 30, 40, 45,000 people every Friday night, man. And when you put that in perspective, because when you think about it, you'll have a big rock concert. Well, you'll have 10, 12,000 people will come to the Coliseum, and you think, my God, that's a huge concert. Well, man, on Friday Night Lights, man, lock down 30, 40,000 people viewing.
Yeah, people that are not in the stands, they're watching from home. Right. So that's funny. I always pull up.
I watch every Friday night, me and my wife.
I pull up my view count at halftime whenever I'm doing a game just to see what type of audiences I'm getting. And there will be some that'll shock me, and there will be some that'll be like, holy cow, I have this many people listening to me right now. It's crazy.
Hunter, Joe asked which door you're going to take. Now, I've heard, Matt's probably too, but I've heard some crazy stories of clubbies in the show.
Oh, yeah.
And the amount of money that the players are paying them.
Yep. Yeah,
for what? Guys tipping guys like that, taking care of them.
They got that tip.
Yeah, they want to take care of them, don't they, Brummy?
Money, Joe.
That's how I make the majority of my money is coming from those tips. So
Really?
Oh,
wow,
so you guys are getting tipped?
Oh, yeah. Yep. We get tipped too.
Oh,
Wow.
really?
Yep.
What's the best tip you've had so far?
Jonathan Scope last year. The big leaguers when they come down. Yeah, the big leaguers when they come down, they take care of you. They'll hand you a couple $100 and they'll be like, "This is nothing to me. This is like $1 to me."
Wow, it's nice they appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's the fun part.
Because
and see, that's what a guy who enjoys baseball. That's the stuff I don't know about, and I love to hear the stories behind the scenes.
Well, hey, I mean, I can remember when
Rolex watches.
Eric Wedge got called up to the Red Sox. And he went in to grab his bags, and no, don't do that. That's
We do
what these
that.
guys are for. Yeah, you don't touch it. You give us a little
Wow.
money on the other end, but
They're just
even
when you're at the airport down in
My-
Miami.
yeah.
Don't touch the bags. I got it. You're going to tip me.
like
Don't touch the bag, seminar. Huh?
Here's a question I got for Hunter. Like you said, you set up the food for him before the game. what kind of spread do they have?
So a lot of times it's like Chipotle, Qdoba. It's like the big protein meals. And there'll be, when those big leaguers come down, man, I tell you what, there you got Jonathan Scope last year. He bought his whole entire team. P.F. Chang's.
Love it.
Blake
Wow.
Snell was
Yep.
here last year. He bought his whole team. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. So
Wow,
when
man.
those big
That's
leaguers
what they
come
do.
out-
That's
big
when those
leaguers
guys come down.
they-
That's their thing.
Yeah, you imagine Clonar. Hey, is that does that plate sizzle in the locker room from Ruth Chris, man? How about that, man?
Yeah.
So, wow,
That
that's
was a
big
bill.
time.
It's awesome.
That's big time, man. So last question before we get into the we have a segment we like to ask questions with the 3 minutes, but look in the camera, man. If there's a kid out there who isn't going to play sports or maybe has something that you had to deal with, has a surgery, look in that camera and give that message, man. What is your message to that kid?
If you just want to get back to sports, like try to find an open door. Like I said, I had this surgery and it was just like I couldn't go down that route. So if you can't go down one route, there's always another route to go down, and that's the one I've hit. So
Great story.
Awesome.
Great story,
That's
yes.
wonderfully said.
Great message. Dave, you want to start with the 3 minutes with Hunter?
I'm going to take my question back.
Uh-oh.
What are you watching on Netflix when you do get a chance?
man,
'Cause I don't
even
think you
have
get
time.
you don't have a chance.
They don't have
Yeah,
a chance
no,
in the Clubhouse.
Not really at all, but I mean, I'm just a sports show. Like if I'm not working a baseball game, like the Tin Caps, when they're not playing at home, I'm watching them on the road, or sometimes I'll even go to road games. I was actually just in South Bend last night, so I'm just watching sports. That's my main thing.
That's
So-
your main thing, huh?
So you went last night.
Yep. Yeah.
Was that as a fan or was you working?
So I actually went as a fan last night. So
Okay.
I try to go to games.
You can't get
every
enough
now
of
and
it,
then.
Joe.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm
Yeah.
the guys, I love that he's
Yeah.
supportive of that.
Yeah.
Since you're a big fan, this is a question for you. We'll kind of move away just for a second. This is a question for you and Matt Brumbaugh. Who's going to win that College World Series, guys? It looks like Florida's in the driver's seat now. You've been following that, Hunter?
Yeah, a little bit. I think Wake Forest, to be honest, has the best shot to me. That's my my prediction.
Isn't Wake Forest, Matt, locked in a war with LSU right now?
We're 0-0 right now in the third. Skeens is throwing for LSU.
We gotta get you out of here, then. So you
Louder's throwing for Wake Forest. So that's where I think LSU or Florida has the advantage now because they start again on Saturday. Now Wake Forest has a tremendous pitching staff, and if they do get by tonight, they've got the moving parts on the pitching staff to get
LSU.
through that.
You like
But
LSU?
if LSU wins, man, they're just gutty.
LSU.
They're that
LSU.
team that just kind of
Took care of Tennessee. I thought Tennessee had a chance, but LSU just kind of.
Even last night, I mean, all of a sudden it's just like that Beloso. He doesn't even look like a baseball player.
He
He
doesn't,
looks like
does
that
he?
rec league guy that just wants to pound a ball. And he's had a tremendous World Series. And when he hit
Yeah.
that 3-run homer, man, it was over.
How fun is Omaha to watch that, man?
Oh yeah.
I mean, to me, that's baseball, man.
That's
Looks
on my
like what he's
bucket.
wearing right now.
That's my bucket list to
I
get
know
out
it.
there.
Yeah.
I was talking about that on Sunday. How I got to find a way to get out
Find a
there.
way to
Just
get out
spend
there.
spend the whole week out there.
Okay, Hunter, this is a little more of a tougher question. Compliments of Denise Claxton. Past or present, if you could have a cup of coffee with any person, okay, past or present, and have that conversation, who would be that one person in history or that person right now that Hunter Sosenhiemer would love to have a conversation with?
It would actually be Doc Emmerich. He's a broadcaster
Wow.
in the hockey world, and he's
Well, great
260 guy.
yeah, he's somebody
great
I've
answer.
he's somebody I've idoled a lot. Like when I go to watch games, like he's somebody I miss right now. Like NHL hockey, it's different without him. So he's one person
He
I'll go.
correct, Matt? Didn't he start here?
Yeah, he actually
Through Bob
was
Chase?
born in LaFountain or lived in LaFountain, Indiana, right around Huntington.
Wow.
And it was idled. His
Chase.
idol was Chaser.
Yeah.
You know,
Isn't it amazing, those
It's a
roots?
good. It
Yeah.
is.
Isn't it
Yeah.
amazing, those roots?
And he
He
came
made
back.
He made it bigger than Chase,
They
man.
did. They did a game together. They
Yeah, he
got
came
it
back
in
for that.
90th
How
birthday.
cool is that, man?
Yeah.
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 But Chase got his start for him, and he came back and did the show before Bob.
He said he listened to Whoa Whoa all the time. You just kind of same thing that Hunter is doing. You
Yeah.
emulate your
Yeah,
idols,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you
You pick up
perfect your
those
craft.
idiosyncrasies, yeah.
Yeah.
Before I get to my hot take, Joe, I know you're football and everything. Who was your, let's say, commentator? Did you ever have a commentator that you emulate? Try to do your games as?
I don't emulate it. I didn't emulate him, but I always admired the passion and the energy that John Madden had.
Okay.
I felt like John Madden would do a game, and he would get excited over the sweat on a guy's pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he would get excited over food and sweat on pants and this and that. And, when we do Summit City, Hunter, you'll know this, I always go out and I drink one Red Bull. And I'm always kind of flying high as it is to begin with. I'm excited. And I just feel like, man, if you can go out there and have the passion. So I don't know if I so much emulate anybody.
Hearing
but
you talk, you know your X's and O's better than anybody.
Yeah, I study. I you know what? People don't realize. People think, man, how do you do that? When I was working with Summit City, I watched every game the week before. I'd watch all the tapes and then, really watch the tapes. And then that Thursday, Denise could tell you, I begin to work on those games that Thursday night. I probably do 3-4 hours. And then I'd always take an hour or two in the afternoon before the game thinking, okay, what would happen? What would I do if this situation would have happened, this or that? And then I always told myself, go out there and celebrate the kids. And if you get a little silly sometimes, if you get to screaming, like the whole I see you started when I would get so excited on that replay. And I love the replay, Hunter, because you can see, man. Yeah. And so I don't know about you. So it was just, I think it's just the pure love. And like Hunter said it well, you want to celebrate the kids. And so, but I always kind of liked the way John Madden rolled out there.
It's interesting you say that because I see a lot now that you say it.
Yeah, I like the way that he had the energy. John Madden would get excited talking about the concession stand. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I just always thought that was passion. But
well, here's my question to you: what's your favorite restaurant in the fort?
So there's 2 restaurants actually downtown that we go to at least probably once a week on game week. So Sydney's Diner is a good spot to hit for the breakfast.
Don't they have like that? Do they still have like that? Well, they have all that stuff thrown together in the plate.
Yeah.
Garbage, thank you. See, Denise is always on it, Sonar.
Yep.
Whether it's a 10-page outline. Thank you, Denise.
Yeah,
garbage. That I used to eat that when I worked downtown.
Yep.
25 years ago.
We go there. We go there once or twice every week. The garbage plate's where it's at, and then Coney Island too.
Man,
got Fort Wayne famous. So shout out to them.
How many can you lay down, brother?
Ooh,
on a good day, let's say you didn't have lunch, you're hungry, you're working hard at the stadium. How many Conies can Hunter lay down?
Ooh, we can throw down about 4 or 5.
Okay, man. I tell you what, I'd roll through a dozen, big boy. I mean, I've rolled through a dozen. You know what we used to do? This is a great story with Coney Island, man.
I sent him my list of what I had.
I rolled through it.
Joe goes, I could do 12.
Yeah, I could roll.
He goes easy.
I could roll down 12 Conies. When I worked down at the firm downtown 25 years ago, we were all kind of young professionals trying to get our CPA exam, and all the partners were older. And they would always watch to see who worked long and hard on Saturdays. And we'd work 70, 80 hours a week, man, in a CPA firm. It was like dropping 5 dogs in a bucket. We're going to see who can get the license and who can survive the work. And we were all battling. But whoever left first on Saturday, Denise, we would always go to Coney Island on Saturday. And big boy, I just got done playing ball. I had no problem rolling through 12 Conies, okay? But the key was we would keep the wrappers or take them back to the office. First guy that would leave the office first, those Conies, and I always kept one extra Coney, a full Coney. So I'd take that Coney, wrap it with the wrapper, Sonar, and we put it in that guy's cubicle or his office on Saturday. And guys didn't work on Sunday, right? So if I was the last one out on Saturday about 9 o'clock, I'd lay that Coney right under his seat, man. And when you came in on Monday, you talk about there's like a certain smell. And Hunter, you know because you're in the locker rooms, and Brummy, you and Dave know, there's a certain smell in a locker room, in a football locker room, after you've practiced in the rain and you come in the next day.
Nasty.
It's a tell him, Brummy.
It lingers.
It's a
It
smell
lingers for a long time.
It's a smell you never forget.
They couldn't get it out of Northern Stadium.
No.
That's right.
No.
And then, but a Coney wrapped in Coney wrappers after about a day and a half, that's a smell that just never quite leaves the office.
I did the same with Powers slider to a guy. I couldn't stand this guy.
Oh,
I
man.
set it right behind the desk.
I saw that movie with those old men where they were putting fish underneath.
Yeah.
Remember those guys? And they'd put the fish underneath the car, underneath the seat. That's how we used to do with the conies. But, man, I'd roll through a dozen conies, bro. No problem with the Coke.
What's your favorite Mexican?
Probably Cebollas. Cebollas is the spot.
Okay. Last question. When you lay your head down at night, what's that one sport moment, man, that Hunter Sosenhiemer thinks about, man? Your favorite sport moment. I think I might know what it is, but what's that moment that you dream of when you lay down at night, Hunter?
So there's actually the two. So obviously this one's the one, and then that state championship in 2015, like the amount of hours you put in for that, and just knowing that you were like on the field working. Like I was a freshman going in there, so obviously like I didn't know the big dogs to start. I didn't know the Isaac Stieblings, Malik Bramley, David Turner, Matt Kippenhammer. Like I didn't know that. I didn't know those guys to start, and then like as the year goes on, you start to know them a little bit, and then it starts to become a brotherhood and stuff like that. And then that's how, man, that game was probably, I was on the sideline filling up those waters, and my heart was through the roof, man. It was insane. And then the comebacks, the 64-61, breaking all those records, it was nuts.
Probably one of the greatest games, and typically you don't see the games that great in the state championship.
Yep.
You know, not to have that much suspense, that much offense, but that Snyder-Newpile game was maybe one of the greatest state championship games of all time.
Yeah, getting that blue ribbon putting over your neck, it's awesome. And then getting your state
Validates
rings
all the
too.
hard work you did.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Getting
And you feel like a team, man.
Yep.
I'd say football manager is probably the hardest.
Oh, man, you got
like
to,
you said,
man.
that blue ribbon's a lot better than that
Red
one.
ribbon.
Yeah.
Oh, that blue one's
And then
real
getting
good.
your state ring the next year when you're going back to school, they're like giving you a box, and you open that thing up for the first time, and you're just like, man, things blinging.
You still look at it?
Oh yeah. I still have it.
No, I mean, do you still pull it out and look at it?
Oh yeah, and then I pull it out for some broadcasts every now and then.
Oh,
Every time I broadcast Snyder, that's like that.
Gotta wear
like,
that,
you gotta kind of do something for it. So like I'm a Snyder kid, so like you can't cheer on a broadcast. Like you can't cheer for a certain team on a broadcast. So like when I'm doing Snyder games and stuff like that, like I'm always wearing it. And then you'll see the former coaches and stuff like that. You're walking down the sideline, you see those guys. They're just like, man, look at what you're doing now. It's crazy.
Proud of you, man.
Very.
You know what? Proud of your journey.
Proud of you, Joe, getting him on. That was
Great
story.
Yes, another great story. A guy, Hunter Sosenhiemer, one door closes, kicks open the next door. And another name that will always be spoken with pride in the 260, Hunter Sosenhiemer. Thank you, Hunter.
Thank you.
I'd like you to stay in the fort, but then again, I'm hoping you move on, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Dave and
Don't
Denise
forget
and
about
Ryan
us.
and Sonar and Brummy, thank you again for a great show. I tell you what, number 16 is hard to believe we've come this far, but it's just awesome to be a part of it with you guys.
Thank you to Speece.
Thank you to Speece, and I tell you what, it's great to have Max Coffee, a.k.a. Max Strong, on tonight, pumping up those Speece memberships, and it's great to see Max really break through with the bodybuilding. Hunter, you break through with Clubhouse Manager of the Year.
Brian
Thank you to
Nix.
Brian Nix, getting all of our young kids ready to play. And as always, Brummy, Dave, thank you for another great show, and as always, we are the 260.
It's the 260 podcast, live from Speece Fieldhouse every Thursday at 7 p.m., highlighting all Indiana sports, featuring guests from the 260 area code and beyond. Live on YouTube every Thursday at 7 p.m.